Today's cardinal lesson, we're talking about Medicare and dental insurance and a little vision insurance thrown in there, is that most folks that come to us are expecting the Medicare system and their supplemental insurance to just cover dental, similar to their group insurance when they had it work. And they come to us, they come into the system with these expectations. And just so you know, Medicare does not cover dental and vision. I mean, if you get in an accident and somehow your teeth are injured and they need to be replaced, sure, Medicare is going to cover that. And on vision, if you have like cataracts, Medicare is going to cover that. But just all the things that you normally put in there to vision, exams, eyes, laser procedures, all of that, it's not covered by Medicare at all. And neither is dental. So part of this video is really resetting expectations, and just so you can understand what you're up against. Now, what I'm talking about with dental is I'm talking about cleanings, fillings, crowns, extractions, dental insurance, dentures, implants. I mean, Medicare just doesn't cover any of those things. And especially down here, this can be really expensive. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to just set your expectations, and then we're also going to talk about what you can do to obtain dental insurance in retirement, or at least understand your options. And many people go through Medicare with no dental insurance. They just pay for it on their own. So that is clearly an option. And I'm not trying to make you so much like these alternatives that you're going to get. I'm just going to want to explain them to you and let you know that we offer a bunch of different companies, but we're going to not tell you about them all today, just a few options. So with the Medicare Advantage program, and in some of my other videos, you learn that when you go Medicare Advantage, you're really outsourcing your Medicare from original Medicare and accepting your Medicare from a private insurance company. And there's reasons to do that, and there's reasons not to do that. But one of the throw-ins or the add-ins on a Medicare Advantage plan typically is dental insurance or dental coverage. So, and it is a mistake to pick your Medicare Advantage plan or go into the Medicare Advantage plan based upon the dental. And some people start out doing this when they come to us, is they've just had an experience with dental. They've just paid out some money, or their insurance covered it or didn't. And so they come in thinking dental, and then the only place you're really going to get dental as a throw-in is over on the Medicare Advantage. And so now they want to look at the Medicare Advantage plans and the dental plans within them, and now they're picking their health insurance by the add-on dental. And I think that's a mistake. I mean, I think that you pick your health insurance by the medical and hospital and surgical benefits that you get from health insurance, and then the dental is just an add-on. But in any case, what you get as the throw-in or the add-on with Medicare Advantage plans is typically a very small benefit, like $750 or $1,000 maximum. And it's pretty much going to cover cleanings, fillings, maybe crowns, probably not, exams, that sort of thing. So it's the small stuff that, is helpful, but it's not going to give you comprehensive coverage. And so the people that go the Medicare supplement route, where they buy one of those Plan Gs from us and they stay on original Medicare, and there's many reasons to do that, and then they're paying a premium for their Medicare supplement, and typically they come in either questioning or they expect that Medicare supplement to cover dental and vision, and it just doesn't, because that Medicare supplement is going to do very well of paying for things that Medicare covers, but they don't pay all of it. The supplement's going to come in and pay that, and dental and vision are just not one of them. So in a sec, Tom is going to go over in a little more detail what a private dental insurance policy looks like with the maximum benefit that he's going to go over. And this is the one that I own personally. I bought this after a little personal experience with some very expensive implants, and then they got to put the teeth that they fashion on top of those. And I really paid it all out of pocket. And so I went and bought this insurance to just carry the rest of my life. So, with that, I want to turn it over to Tom, and we want to talk a little bit about this private dental insurance.
Sure. And so, what today we're going to do is I'm going to share a screen here in a second, and we're going to walk through what the specific benefits are on one of these policies that we sell. And so, like Hans was mentioning, we have several companies that offer these. This is not the only one, but this one does have a high maximum benefit of $5,000, which one of the ways these dental companies kind of control their costs is they limit how much they will pay per year for you individually. So if you start having some of these more expensive costs, the implants, the bridges, the crowns, multiple crowns, it can get very costly. And even if you have one of these plans, say on the Advantage plan, that even might cover that stuff, when they limit your benefit to $750 or $1,000 per year, it's really pretty limited coverage. And so with this particular policy, they really break down the benefits into kind of three categories. There's preventive care, basic care, and major care. And so you can see on the screen kind of what falls under each of those categories. But how they pay out is the preventive care. This is your routine exams, the cleanings. They pay that 100%. So you go in, you don't have a bill when you come out. The basic care, this is going to be like x-rays, fillings, things that are simple. They pay it at 80% coverage, which is helpful. You have 20% cost yourself. And then the major stuff, they're only going to pay 50%. I will also point out that this particular policy does have a deductible of $50. So, and that's for the basic and the major services. So once you have the first $50 worth of care, you have to pay out of pocket. And then it picks up either the 80% or the 50%, depending on what level of care you're receiving. A lot of dental plans, including this one, on the major services, they have a waiting period before they will start paying out benefits. And so you see on the screen here that they will make you wait 12 months before they cover the major services. There is a caveat if you're replacing coverage, if you're replacing current dental coverage, they will waive that waiting period, which is helpful. What they're trying to prevent is someone who goes to the dentist, they say we need to put in a couple of crowns, then they go buy the dental policy and come back the next day to get the procedure done. Obviously, the dental plan doesn't want to pay for that. And so that's kind of how the plan works. You can buy this type of plan if you're on a Medicare supplement. Even if you have a Medicare Advantage plan that has dental coverage, but you want more extensive coverage, you can buy this. Hans has this policy personally, and he's not on Medicare yet. And so there's a lot of reasons that you might look at this. And really, a big driver of this policy is that maximum benefit of $5,000. Underneath here, you can see the different pricing. So it's $79 for one person. If you start adding children or a spouse, the cost can go up. You can buy family coverage that will cover the full family. And so the more people you include, the higher the price will be. I'm going to switch over in a second and show you a very similar policy. But before I do that, I want to show you below this is what a vision coverage might entail, what that could look like. That's going to cover, with visions, the costs aren't really that expensive. I mean, you're going to have your vision checked, you're going to have glasses and contacts and things like that. But in terms of the cost, that's your liability with the dental is not there with the vision, because if you have real expensive eye stuff, more times than not, that's going to be covered under Medicare. Think cataract surgery or things like that. That's covered under Medicare, and you don't need the dental coverage to pay for that. And so because of that, the price is much lower, $21 per person if you buy it individually. But they will pay for your eye exam. They'll pay for the a portion towards the cost or the of the glasses or the cataract or the contacts. They normally don't pay 100% of that cost. They'll give you an allowance towards it. And then if you go buy, a really nice pair of glasses, you often will have to come out of pocket some. But this can be added onto this dental coverage. This one is kind of with the same company. So let me switch over here.
Tom, what I want to do, just I want to jump in and go over. I just used this thing about 6 months ago to buy these glasses. And I went in with this. I went to a place about a mile away from my house that was in the network. I played by all the rules. And the whole bill for everything I got for the exam, the whole thing was about $1,000. And I paid about $400 out of my pocket. Now, I would have paid less if I would have accepted lesser quality glasses. So, to me, it's worth having, and it just, because it was very expensive to go in there, and I'm glad that I got a portion of it paid.
I think that's a good point, and you can, play the game a little bit. Like if you don't need an expensive pair of glasses, your cost will come down if you get a lesser pair of glasses for sure. And then the lenses can be expensive too. So if you get bifocals or transition lenses, I mean that will add some to the expense as well. The next plan here is a very similar design of the plan. It's with a different company. The biggest difference is the maximum benefit is $2,000 compared to $5,000. So you can see it's broken into 3 basic types of services. There's preventive, basic, and major. They use a lot of the same terminology. The coverage is similar, 100% for preventive, 80% for basic, and then 50% for major. So it's designed very similarly. This one controls how they pay in the first year a little bit differently. Like they pay less for the major services from day one, and then it increases after a year. But very similar policy, and you can see the price is much less expensive. This one is $84 per month compared to the one. What was the other one? It was $79 for the member. And so you can actually see, it's actually this is for a couple. This is $84 is for a member and a spouse is $84 compared to $135 for a member and a spouse on the previous policy. The cost is much less on this policy, but the maximum benefit is also less. So those are 2 options. We have many other ones we can look at. Some people don't need a $5,000 maximum and they're not wanting to pay that. So there's all sorts of things that we can do with this. But I think to Hans's earlier point is you shouldn't make your Medicare decisions in terms of the supplement or Advantage plan based off the dental coverage that's being provided. I think it's a little bit backwards. I mean, if you go the Advantage plan route, which we have a lot of clients there, it's nice to have the dental coverage, but that shouldn't be the reason that you're buying the Advantage plan over a supplement.
Okay. So, Tom, what you pointed out is dental insurance is a whole separate deal from Medicare and Medicare supplement insurance. And, the cost of it, you could say it's expensive. If you get a full boat plan like I got, was, I pay like almost $200 a month for my wife and me, or about $100 a month a piece. But I've got the maximum plan on both of us, and I have the maximum vision plan on both of us. It's about $185 a month, something like that. So it's expensive, but it's completely separate from Medicare. And then the other thing we really didn't talk about much is the network, out-of-network stuff. And you don't have any of that with your Medicare and Medicare supplement. You've got all of that when you're on a Medicare Advantage. And when you get to the dental insurance area, they typically, I don't really want to go to the network dentist. I mean, just in any of the networks. So I go to the out-of-network dentist, and then they pay at that out-of-network dentist on a scale as they would at the in-network dentist. So that affects these things a little bit, but you can still buy these and go to any dentist you want, typically. Now, just all of this is an option for you with Medicare. And as Tom said, don't make your Medicare insurance decisions based upon dental. This has got to be a secondary thing. And with that, we're in all 50 states in the District of Columbia, so we can serve you anywhere in the United States. I'm Hans Scheil.
And I'm Tom Griffith.
And we both thank you for listening.